Lights and you're live.
Thank you. Good evening. In accordance with provision Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20, notice is hereby given that the Zoning Board of Appeals is meeting tonight, Wednesday, January 15, 2025, at 6:30 p.m. in the Town Hall Meeting Room of 124. Members of the public are welcome to attend this in person at 1 Liberty Lane, Norfolk, Mass., or by remote Zoom connection provided. Please note that the in-person meeting will not be suspended or terminated if technical problems interrupt the remote connection. This is a little bit unusual meeting. We're going to start the meeting with an executive session. I request a motion that the Zoning Board of Appeals enter into an executive session under Mass General Law 30A, 21A, exemption, number 3, to discuss strategy with respect to litigation regarding 115 Park Street, and that the following persons also to be invited into the executive session: Rich McCarthy, Town Planner; Justin Casanova Davis, Town Administrator; Tom Harrington, Esquire, and Anthony Riley, Esquire, of Harrington, Heap, and Elaine Strug, Administrative Assistant. Further, that at the conclusion of this executive session, the board will reconvene into open meeting for the purpose of continuing the business of the meeting. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make the motion that we enter into executive session under Exemption 3 to discuss the strategy with respect to litigation regarding 115 Park Street. I also want to make sure we invite in Tom Harrington, Justin Casanova Davis, Elaine Strug, and Rich McCarthy.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Do roll call.
Aye, Joe Sebastiano.
Chris Metcalf, aye.
David Axberg, aye.
Tim Martin, aye.
You guys can say it too.
Bro-
You don't need us for it, though. Aye. Courtney Charlie.
So,
in waiting for the host, like the lobby for a little bit. I was like,
Oh,
oh,
there they are. They're coming in.
there it is. Nice.
Can you hear us okay?
Yep, Chris can hear us.
Yes, yeah, I can hear.
This
All right,
feels
we're
disconcerting.
back into regular session of the board meeting, the zoning board meeting that we opened earlier. We'd like to move out of order a little bit. We'd like to move the 115 Park Street and make a motion to,
To be first, I guess you have to make a motion to take 102 Medway and move that one. Is that what we're doing?
do you have to make a motion to do that?
Since we're already at 7:10,
Yeah, you're
I
already
think
beyond it.
You're already
Yeah,
beyond
we're
it.
okay
Just
either
take care
way.
of Park Street and go back to
Yeah.
7.
I think you
Okay.
can just do that.
All right, so we already, so this is, it's already open, right? Park Street?
Yeah,
115?
we just make a motion to continue it to
Oh, okay.
February 19th.
Fine. I'll make a motion that we continue the hearing for 115 Park Street to February 19th at 7:10 PM.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye, Joe
Do
Sebastiano.
roll
We have
call.
to do a roll call because Chris is online.
Aye, Joe Sebastiano.
I'm online. Chris
Aye.
Metcalf, aye.
David Axberg, aye.
Tim Martin, aye.
Thank you.
Way to go.
All right,
Done.
now, 102 Medway Street,
Yeah,
special permit for ground.
Great.
right. So if anyone's here for 115,
If
And-
anybody's here for 115, you don't have to stay, you can stay, it's an open meeting. So,
No, 2 people left.
okay.
You never know, someone might be online.
who's here for 102 Medway Street?
That will be me.
All
I
right,
have to read over here.
Can we get the
We can't see it.
mute thing off?
You have to just unmute this, whatever that is in the middle.
Yeah.
That's a MCTV thing on mute, I think.
We have
Yeah,
a box over the applicant's face that says the host would like you to unmute.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Which is a little
I
awkward.
have to open the hearing, by the way.
We got the
Okay.
top of a hat, and I think he has a beard. Oh, there's the rest of them. Hey, dude.
Okay, all
right.
right, let me open it.
we're gonna open this part of the meeting.
Yeah,
Hold
let me
on.
open this up. Notice is hereby given in accordance with Chapter 48 of Massachusetts General Laws and any and all amendments thereto, that a public hearing will be held by the Zoning Board of Appeals in Room 124 at the Norfolk Municipal Building on Wednesday, January 15, 2025, for the following application: Team Sunshine at 7 PM for a special permit pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 48, Section 9, Norfolk zoning bylaw 310-442 and 310-7.6 to install ground-mounted solar panels. The system size of 8,500 kilowatts DC and 6,500 kilowatts -20 photo panels with no battery storage. The property is located 102 Medway Street, Assessors Map 9, Block 36, Lot 101, in the R3 zoning district. Hearing's open.
All right, well, thank you. Whoever you are, you have the floor.
Yeah. So thank you for having this hearing.
Please
and
introduce
allowing-
yourself.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, you just need to give your name and address for the record.
Gotcha. My name is Benjamin Carroll. I am, my residence is 46 Whitney Ave in Framingham, Massachusetts. Our office is in Hudson, Massachusetts for Team Sunshine Construction at 577 Main Street. I'm the construction supervisor for the company. And yeah, this is a pretty straightforward ground mount for us. I mean, we do a lot of these systems, and I think whatever you guys need from us, we're here for. We've worked in the town quite a bit before. Good relationship with everyone in the building department. I think we had to do like an abutters list and an application here for the zoning commission and all that stuff. So, yeah, what do you guys need from us?
Well, we have is there a particular sheet of the plan set that you wanted to share, to talk to it? Or we could,
Yeah, describe the installation, for us.
Yeah, sure. That's no problem. So basically, in the backyard for this homeowner, They wanted a system. It's 4 by 5, pretty standard procedure here, with some moto racking. It's a fairly straightforward system in their backyard. So I think.
Why are they choosing to do it in the backyard and not on the roof of the house?
Get more
To
power.
be honest, everyone's got different considerations. Some people just are a little bit more hesitant for putting things on their roof. Nowadays, I think from a construction perspective, the mounts are fantastic. We actually, about middle of last year, moved to a new racking system, and we've seen literally like a 0 point of failure on this new system. I'm super excited about it. It's a very few leaks, but I think just within the years as solar's becoming adopted, I think some people just still are a little concerned about roof-mounted solar, hearing stories in the past and stuff. So they were just very much, wanted to have a ground mount system in the back. They felt like it was also, optimum for receiving the amount of kind of juice out of the system as they wanted. So obviously in a ground mount system, you can put it perfectly south with the right azimuth, for optimal, year-round production. And so, they really opted for doing a ground mount system versus a roof-mounted system.
And you said the field is 4 foot by 5 foot?
Four panels by 5 panels.
Okay, 4 panels. How big's a panel?
Panel, for lack of a better way to say it, it's around 6 feet by 3 feet. So about 3 foot wide, 6 feet
so
long.
3,600 square feet of floor area.
Yeah, they are horizontally laid out. So we have 4 high, times kind of 3 feet, and then 5 wide by, call it 6 feet.
So 30 by
30 by 12?
12. Yeah,
Yeah,
way off.
approximately.
You're way off.
Yeah, but,
Yeah, right.
yeah, 30 by, okay.
Yeah.
Benjamin, what's the height of
Yeah.
the system?
So on this system, it's off the ground about, anywhere, I think normal plan sets about 18 inches off the ground, and then it rises up about, it's a little different on every single one, but I'm assuming, you're up in like the 8 to 9 foot range, pretty much, on the back side of it.
Okay.
So it's
Yeah.
very similar to Peter Diamond's.
Yeah, exactly.
On Seekonk Street.
It's almost
Yeah.
identical.
Yes.
But-
And we love Peter. We work with Peter a lot.
So I have one question. Is this normal that the contractor applies for the,
Yeah,
as
Yes.
opposed to the homeowner?
yeah.
It's almost always a contract.
Yeah. Just making
Did you
sure.
want to represent your solar panel?
Just asking.
Somebody asked me a technical question, I'd be like, I got a dude.
Yeah,
Benjamin?
It's still one of those things where people still are learning a little bit about it as they go. So it's helpful for us to kind of jump
Since I've
in.
been here,
installed
Peter's been the
zone,
only
so-
one that's done his own.
Yeah.
yeah.
Just for public's knowledge, these are by a special permit, but it's almost like it's a guarantee, is it not?
You're not supposed to say that part out loud, Dave.
What
We have no reason.
deny it for?
Yeah, we have
So
no,
the question.
Well, I have a question, but you-
Question is, first of all, why isn't it on the roof, right?
Right, I already asked
So
that.
is that, I don't read the zoning bylaw that they come to us for an option. I read it as, like you said, you apply for it, you get it without,
Right. It's
My
a,
question would be, Benjamin, is all of the power generated by these panels to be used just for that house?
So what happens is, for all systems that are connected to the grid in Massachusetts is,
Feeds back.
while the system's producing, the house will consume what it's producing, and then if it's not using all of the power that it's consuming, it runs through the meter and goes back to the grid.
yeah, that's how mine.
So for example, on a very sunny day in the summer and no one's at the house and everything's turned off, it will consume a little bit of that power, but all the overproduction goes back through the grid, through the meter, and they receive credits from, I think National Grid is the major supplier there.
So to your question, I'm no expert, but can you limit these panels, if, I'm not saying you do it, so that they're limited to only generate enough power for that house?
Well, if he.
They don't want to generate more power because then become
simple.
a commercial and then they get.
So
Then they're paying more in panels than they need to.
So I'm sure you did an analysis and the house uses X amount of power per year. And that's what you're selling them for panels per year. So like my house, for 9 months I overproduce. And for 3 months in the winter.
That's really what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
So, yes, because nobody's going to give you the 30% tax credit, and he's going to have a hard time selling the energy credits if he sells more panels than.
Yep.
So, that's going to be.
There's an economic factor in there.
So you
Yeah, you guys get it. That's exactly the idea.
So, yeah, it's not like he's making money off of them, because you don't.
No, and the credits all runs through the utility company. So the idea is we take a look at their consumption of power over a year, and we size the system for what the house typically consumes in a year, plus maybe 8-10% extra, because we always like to leave a little bit of buffer there. Obviously, everything's becoming more electric as we speak. So.
So if we installed enough of these, could we form a municipal electrical utility that runs on our local solar panels and get rid of National Grid?
We have
Eversource.
so we
We have them for the schools
at the
and
dump.
stuff.
We
We don't have enough.
We don't-
Well, I know we don't produce enough right now. I'm just saying, if we as homeowners all banded together on this, hear me out.
So let's get back to this.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
Yeah, but the sun only shines during the daytime.
So-
That's
What I
all
would
right.
say is
Not the,
the
your question was
kind of
more,
community buildings.
yours
So
was
it's not a
related to the
commercial-
homeowner, not the company, right?
Correct. I was just trying
So
to
you-
confirm that it's not a commercial use.
Right.
So
It's a
what
residential
you
use.
confirmed is that
Oh,
the homeowner,
yes.
the system is sized so the homeowner, at one point they got extra credits and then they consume it,
Exactly.
but they're not putting in more panels that
Than they need, right.
that they're getting.
So
There's no
commercial.
incentive
in
to
the
do
middle,
it.
in the
That's
middle
all
of
I'm
the
trying to
summer,
avoid.
when I
'cause you
run
could-
my
they
well,
could- that
I
could
need more
easily,
power.
we get by me, I wouldn't
Irrigation.
know.
No, I get it, but Tim's point is like, at the end of the year,
It's a squash.
it's a squash, not
'Cause
more.
You don't want to buy
Right.
more panel.
I think.
No, but I didn't want to have
Well,
a
it's not
systems
a-
going everywhere and then everyone saying, this is
Right,
my
it's not-
house and I sell it and buy it.
It's not a field like what.
No, I
was
can see
approved
that.
up on-
I'm just,
Joey LaRusso.
No, but remember, we did, like, Pete
He had-
Diamond has extra capacity because he wanted to buy an EV eventually, and he gives his kid his credits.
right, that was exactly right.
Yeah.
And that was like,
Not that that was our business, but.
Well, no, actually, in some ways.
In some
To
ways.
your point, it is. Like,
Yeah.
Right. You don't want to be selling
I
roof
could-
space.
right.
you're taking in good faith that that's what they're doing,
I'm just
Yeah.
asking the
to sell
question.
it to their, it's for their kid, but that doesn't mean they're gonna.
I leave it to
definitely do
DPU to come in and enforce when somebody's de facto running a utility. It's not for me. We got a whole department for that.
And to be completely honest, we don't have any say, because to be honest,
No.
you could put that in there. Like, we do a bunch of three families, and that's the fourth one on the roof. None of that power goes to that three family. It's all sold back to other users. So legitimately, it doesn't have to be tied.
Yep.
Yeah.
that. Yeah, there-
I don't see that this is any
No, I agree.
discussion.
I'm just asking the question.
There really is no.
I mean, it's not like it's out on the road or it's an off.
No batteries that are
Do we
gonna.
have-
There's
Cool.
any neighbors?
Are
that-
there any neighbors here present? Did we get any letters of dissension or anything
Solar
from
panel.
neighbors or
It's-
anything?
I don't
It's
think
cool.
that- we have on that.
Okay.
Yeah, and then it did,
We don't have any neighbors that.
I mean, it's not near really anybody. It's not near a property.
Well, in terms of Zoom, there's only.
right. But did
Well, on
Benjamin,
account
did
of
you
what
say,
the public or
question for
non-
Benjamin, did you say that the abutters, there were things checked with the abutters before this application?
Notice
Oh, they're just that
Notices
they,
went
just that they were
Notices went
notified.
out, okay,
Oh, yeah.
right,
this meeting.
Yeah, they're breaking down the door.
okay.
Yeah.
It's a fenced-in yard too, so it's pretty
Oh,
private.
Well, obviously, there's a lot of property here.
There's only 2 people online from the general public.
Right.
Do they have questions?
Anybody have any questions
Regarding 102 Medway?
regarding 102
Okay.
Medway Street? No?
I don't see any hands.
All right, Benjamin, thank you very much for your input tonight. You'll be hearing from the zoning board.
No
Probably in
problem.
a
Thank you guys, I
very,
appreciate it.
in a very positive way, seeing how we can't really go any other way.
In a fairly short time, I think.
It doesn't violate any setbacks.
You're not violating anything, your
Right.
setbacks are all good,
Right.
everything's great, so.
I mean, it's well centered within
And
the
it's a
property.
residential thing, so
Right.
we'll send you a letter.
It's well centered in the property. It's.
Do you want to close it, deliberate it, and move it?
All right, I'll make a motion-
Great.
All right, I make a motion that we close the hearing for 102 Medway Street for the solar installation as proposed.
A second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Chris Metcalf, aye.
David Axberg, aye.
Joe Sebastiano, aye.
Josephine Kordahi, aye.
Tim Martin, aye.
Very good, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Yep,
good
you'll
night.
get a letter.
Take care, you too.
Thank you.
So you could,
Do you want to
We're already-
vote to approve it as submitted?
you want to do it right now, or you want to come back at the end of the meeting to do it?
No,
We'll do it
Do
right
it now.
people had a chance to read the decision?
Yeah, I looked
I
at
did,
it.
yeah.
It looked good.
Looks good to me.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a pretty standard decision.
Yeah.
Whether,
Some fine oiled machine here. This is some fine customer service.
Yeah, right,
I mean, it's,
yeah. They're pretty much a form letter.
There, looks excellent.
pretty close to form letter, yes, at this point.
Okay.
All right,
Motion to
motion to go to the next thing.
Well,
no.
motion.
Oh,
I make
motion to approve.
Yeah, I make a motion that we approve the decision as written for 102 Medway Street for the photo, for the solar arrays as proposed.
I'm going to second that.
All in favor? Roll call.
Chris Metcalf, aye.
Joe Sebastiano, aye.
David Axberg, aye.
Tim Martin, aye.
Josephine Kordahi, aye.
Thank you. All right, pass it around, we'll sign it if we have to.
Yeah, need a blue pen? Is that blue?
Nope, that's not.
I have a blue one.
That's
Oh,
blue.
that's not the one to sign?
All right,
Okay,
she wants another
Elaine
pen.
has the one to sign.
all right.
Oh, okay,
Sign it on
she'll
the
send
way
it to Ralph.
Okay,
We'll sign it on the way out.
Yeah.
so we took care of
Do
that,
we have any appointments?
took care of that.
We have no deliberations because we just
did it.
did it.
Deliberations.
Well, I mean, no. You sort of have an appointment. You have the DPW director, if you want to just take that next in terms of,
Oh, we can.
Oh, yeah.
That was going to be for discussion of Cleveland Street berm. I asked for Blair to come tonight and explain to us why it is the way it is, and we'll give him the floor. Blair, you're up.
Or a chair,
Pull up a chair, sit on the floor.
perfect. All right, good evening, everybody. Is this on?
Howdy.
Is this on?
Yeah.
State your name and why you're here.
Blair Crane, Director of Public Works for the town of Norfolk. Doesn't sound like it's on, but okay.
It's on for the TV, folks.
Yeah,
It
just the
doesn't.
TV.
Yeah, it's
So
on.
I think the best place to start here, because obviously this has been a long process, not just for me, but for all of you as well, before your time, I'm guessing. I went back and I pulled the plans, right, from when this originally started in 2019. Certainly before my time, and I'm not sure how many of you were here during that time, but so in those plans from the spring and summer of 19, they're a little different than how this has evolved over time. The original plans for Cleveland Street show no grass strip. They show the existing asphalt berm remaining, the existing granite berm on the corner of Rockwood Road remaining, staying intact, and then it shows an asphalt sidewalk up tight against the asphalt berm. Hence, that's how we went down this road and ended up with a product that nobody liked, residents didn't like. We thought it was unsafe, and so we took measures to alter that and install a grass strip, given the amount of space that we had at the time. Doing so, we had to remove some trees to take every available foot of space that we had there. There's fences there. Were a number of objects, some signage. But we were able to put a substantial grass strip in there to try to do that. We did look at a bread loaf berm at the time when we went out, obviously after we had this meeting. We went out there and looked at it, looked at the existing pavement that was there and what that would entail, which would have been to cut out the sloped Cape Cod berm, the monolithic berm that was there, dig down and to try to make that stick. The problem with bread loaf berm, and if you drive around town, you'll see that we don't install that anymore anywhere, is because plows hit it, it's very difficult to stabilize and to keep in place. You can tack it down, you can try to back it up, it's not granite. It looks like granite, it's not granite. So we don't use it. Even the tip project, when that was done on Pond Street, that has monolithic berm on it as well, with a grass strip and sidewalk. So it's all over. It's Rockwood Road, 115. It's everywhere. Boardman, Medway Branch, I mean, everywhere and anywhere, that's the case. So it's not so much that, the issue is to take it one step further, that, when I look at these projects and I look at what is entailed and what has to be installed, I also look at what's that going to look like 15 years from now or 20 years from now. What does that cost to maintain that? I think in my time here, we have done a great job at trying to always upgrade and repair our infrastructure and do what we can based on a limited budget. We have 50% of our roads have sidewalks, but 50% of that half, 25%, is deficient. And we don't spend a lot of money to repair that. So I have to look at curbs, I have to look at sidewalks and say to myself, if I'm going to put in a bread loaf berm here and I can't really back it up and I can't really keep it in place for 15 years, am I constantly going to be back here trying to fix this? Because everything costs money. Asphalt costs money, labor costs money. Am I constantly going to be back here? And I think that's why my predecessor got away from bread loaf berm, because in the northeast, it's very difficult to keep it in place. It doesn't last. It's brittle. You can, it looks pretty when you put it in, but what's the longevity of it? And so that's certainly a parameter that I look at when we go through it. Traffic, obviously pedestrian traffic. You have to take all of these speed limits. You have to take all these things into account. So that's why the plan from 2019 doesn't surprise me a lot. Now, obviously things evolve over time, and when we came back in here to say, you know what, even though that's how it shows in the plan, obviously it doesn't look very good with the sidewalk being tight against the berm. And so obviously we made that choice to switch that out. But even then, looking at it, and we had talked that night when I was here the last time about putting in a more substantial berm there. It didn't make sense, and I didn't think I could get it to stay. Even if I glued it down with tack and backed it up with something on the backside, I just honestly felt like, plows come around that corner and that granite curb stops pretty quick right there where there's a catch basin. I just didn't feel as though it was going to put up with the test of time. And so that's why I made the call. And if memory serves, we only had a few weeks. Winter was closing in on us here. I think it was October when we were monkeying around with that. And, I just felt as though we had to get it done. Otherwise, it could have easily, waited into November and tried to do it, not knowing what the weather was going to be into December. So there was a time crunch there. And for that, I apologize. But, that's where I stand with the reasoning behind putting that together. I think in the future, I would certainly like to have a more interactive role with the board when these projects come down the pipe. I think a little bit of time before a decision is made is probably worth its weight in gold on the other side after a decision's been made. Materials are always evolving, and I think it would be time well spent.
Mike, you have something to say?
So I have a couple questions, because this is before my time. So you say I get it, that you guys are looking at it, but isn't this part of the development agreement, and isn't this being done by a contractor outside of the town? So
It
this
is, but it's still within the purview of the Department of Public Works because it is a town road.
Right, for maintenance. But to put the berm in, whether we had to cut the road, mill the road, whatever, to get it set down and in, to set it proper, whether, that wouldn't have been done by you. That would have been done by the contractor that we gave the subdivision to.
Under my guidance.
Correct.
Yes.
But at his expense.
Correct. Yep.
His
But
expense.
only the initial, and I think what
The
I
initial.
heard, the initial.
The initial
so the initial
installation, which was done according to the
installation,
plan.
which would have been,
Right,
okay,
but
they
so
put a
it-
nice bread berm in and they do all this. 5 years down the road,
I get it.
Blair's having to repair the whole thing.
I totally get the
So,
maintenance
okay,
end of it.
hey.
I just wanted to make sure up front that that wasn't being improved by the
No,
town.
no.
That improvement's being made by the contractor. correct?
100%, the contractor paid for all of that.
All of that work.
Yeah.
Right.
And it wasn't the
So-
contractor that
so-
decided to do the different berm.
The grass.
Than what we had asked for,
So-
or the grass.
So the only thing that I'm missing here a little bit is when we had that discussion here, I thought it discussed that there was a berm, then a 3-foot grass, then a 5-foot walk, then this. But now it's being, that it was a Cape Cod berm right to the walk. So was that the drawn design and the agreed upon design was originally curb, grass, 5-foot walk, and then it went to this?
So that we have the
So
5-foot walk.
Right,
It
so
was
our.
variable because
how
there
was
were all
our-
the fences, the mailboxes, utility poles, they were
How was
different, it varied.
How was it written originally to be done?
So just to recap, you said in the plan that you had, it was the Cape Cod berm, no
Right
grass
to asphalt,
strip.
no grass
And
strip.
that's how the determination was?
Yes.
From the, that's all I asked?
Yes.
Yep.
That's all I asked, because
Yep.
when we sat that night, it was said, no, there was grass berm, grass, and we couldn't do it, so we squeezed it down. And then we're gonna open it up, and we're gonna put a bread loaf berm, and that wasn't our idea, that was a contractor's
Right, right.
idea. So when that wasn't there, I'm asking,
It-
Yep.
okay?
You're
When
right.
I see car tracks up over the brand-new grass strip, I'm asking.
No,
Okay.
you're absolutely
So-
correct, Mike.
So, and my question is, moving forward with these, like, maybe we should put cement curb and not granite, which is wicked expensive and bread loaf.
Moving forward, we should stay way the hell out of the curb game on a 40B.
But
I can't be any clearer that we got away with something and we need to not do it.
they're asking
But when
for-
a building goes in,
I
it's
said-
these
I
important
said to
improvements that
David
need to be
in a text-
mitigated, though. I mean, getting these
Right,
sidewalks is a
and we need to have a better,
But the last one of the party is not, this is an off-site sidewalk, this one was dicey, and so
Well, this-
we should be happy.
and I'm fine
We
that
should
it's done.
leave the
Yeah.
curbs out of it
I
moving
think-
forward, though. We're
I
gonna
think the
bait
thing-
hack.
I think the thing, Mike, I think the thing that I came to the realization with talking with Blair was that we're going to be coming down the same road again shortly with some 40Bs or
Yeah.
something. And so
That's what I-
we give to the developer some concessions for the 40B. In return, they give some concessions to the town.
Correct.
Normally, that's all within the development that they're making the concessions. Normally. Now, sometimes what we can do is we can say, okay, in lieu of doing a second sidewalk inside the development,
right, do it.
we're gonna extend the sidewalk out to Rockwood Road.
I totally
That's
get it.
what happened here, but
Had that.
there has to be some freedom with Blair
Right.
and/or whoever is in his position to be able to make that work within an existing development, because
I
you
mean,
can't
a
just...
good example, David, is Lawrence Street, right? So that, that was supposed to be sidewalk all the way to the development, right? And when the town couldn't acquire
Yeah.
the right-of-way there, I mean, that was all that was needed to kill that sidewalk. So I went back to the drawing board and worked with Richard to say, like, hey, I think that at least we can put in part of it. We can get to Eagle Drive with the existing right-of-way that we have there, which, is, in that case, is a win-win. So
Right.
that
I get
flexibility
that.
within the right-of-way is
There's no
is
way
a...
we can win that.
But within the context of
I get that.
40B, if we, we were fairly lucky with Tom that he played ball, was agreeable and amenable to the sidewalk. He wanted his permits. However, had that headed south in any direction, and this went to the Housing Appeals Committee, they love to see us require fancy curbs. They turned that over immediately. We would have gotten the development as submitted. None of what was negotiated, and that is very real. It's very real. So you gotta.
Moving forward.
Moving forward, we set the conditions.
If we set the conditions, who's checking them at the end?
If we said, it depends, each condition is written with
That's
the
what I
approval.
asked Blair, because I said, okay, Blair, if there's a point in which you and a developer are down here and we've spelled out bread berm,
Right.
and you're not going to do bread berm,
Call.
I gave him my cell phone and said,
Right.
give me a call, you know,
I mean, at the end,
And I had
there's
even-
also a practice note for us here that at the end of the day, we should word those conditions to say, subject to the review and approval of the
which we
DPW.
did on the,
Even on these plans, it says it all over the place.
Yeah,
It says,
yeah.
you know,
it's-
And we
I mean, this
even
is
said
pretty
it for-
refer to
typical.
DPW.
Right, we said
per
it for
DPW
green-
Yeah.
we said it for the mailboxes, we
Yeah,
said
I
it
mean,
for all
field-
those other things.
Field
but-
corrections are pretty
but in
normal to a
reality-
level. I mean, we saw a modification for a building that was in the wrong
But
spot.
in reality, Chris, myself, others, we were all looking for this bread berm, and it never appeared. And all we saw were tire tracks going up, which probably was the
Amazon
mailman
drivers.
or Amazon or
Amazon
somebody.
drivers.
Mailman.
Yeah, the mailman probably drove right down the street.
Which until that takes grass, we will forever be out there again.
I get it. And
Repairing
And
with,
I can appreciate that now the walk goes all the way around.
Oh, that was
I
huge.
do.
Yep.
Throw
I
some
think
bollards in
they
for a
can
little bit.
appreciate
Make
it
it hurt.
as well.
I
Because
do
I see
too.
they're out there already
Oh,
shoveling.
they're already shoveling it.
So I think that, you know, obviously as a learning experience, my suggestion would be that early on in the process,
Yeah.
Yeah. and-
you know, I'm willing to
Prior
take
to
the
a
time
decision.
to, you know, if, when you guys, Rich and I can get together, however we'd like to put that together, I'm okay with it. But I would just say that sooner than later, when something comes down the pipe, to let me, you know, vet it.
Absolutely.
And at that point, then we don't find ourselves trying to play catch-up on the backside, that's all. You know, and I'm certainly willing to do that.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
Well, I said that to David this morning in a text. Basically, it would be good for these contractors or developers to have some typical sidewalk designs that we have approved,
Yep.
Yep.
instead of going around the circle, which we seem to be being
could
stuck in.
really put in some specifications, but most of this lives under DPW right now. If we had we could adopt standards for 40Bs in our review of them that would put it more in play, but right now, we've got a tenuous grasp.
Right.
I think just move forward with that next one. And
We appreciate what you
Well,
did do, and you
well,
did get sidewalk
Yeah, you
in
did
places
pass it.
where they never had sidewalk before, so we do
It hasn't been
appreciate
easy
that.
In any way, but
And I'm sure those people worked with you in the front.
Oh, that was, no. Nobody's happy. Nobody is happy ever.
I do want to say,
it's, you know, and I understand it. Listen, I don't live on that street, so I get it. You know, I absolutely understand it. It's just, you know, items take up space, right? Grass strips take up space, sidewalks take, mailboxes, trees, everything takes up a spot.
ADA,
And so,
people have rights.
you know, the job at the end of the day really is to try to, you know, put all the pieces of that puzzle so they make sense. But, you know, we had to do a couple of things outside the box here. You know, we had to put some drainage covers in that we hadn't used in other places in town so that the sidewalk, because we didn't have room to go around them. So, you know, we had concrete structures put in so that the sidewalk could go over them and make them ADA compliant. And
Way to thread that needle. Sounds
yeah,
like a
it's
blast.
right. It's
but it's important too, though, we take advantage of these development opportunities to bring sidewalks to town, because
Absolutely.
we've been trying, it's been well over 30 years that I've been somewhat in touch with the road safety aspects of it, and former directors, where we've tried to get the mitigation opportunities, and we did. That's how Medway Branch got down.
Right.
I mean, we were disappointed we couldn't get all the way to the senior center, but that's a whole other story. But it's a matter of, we need these opportunities to continue to.
Right.
And
And I
We're
don't
gonna name
disagree. I
some
was
of
just
these
trying to
sidewalks
think of a
after you.
smoother way to get there, that's all.
No, I think the fact that you can review these is very important.
Right.
That's very important, I agree.
Blair, we thank you. Your time's
Yeah,
important to us.
thank you.
We appreciate it. We look forward to working with you in the
I
future.
look forward to working with all of you as well. Have a great evening.
Thank you. Good evening.
Is that your plan too?
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate
Good
it.
night.
Take care.
Take care.
They're gonna have an active town meeting, huh, Rich?
Yeah, a little bit.
All right, let's go to the town planner updates, since we don't have any
All right.
other appointments or deliberations.
So first on the list is the accessory dwelling units. There is public hearing on the 27th of January that the planning board will be holding, so if you want to come.
So as any of this gone through zoning, have we tried to make any, so I just spent last Wednesday in a state inspectors meeting in Grafton with 50 inspectors, and that was the hot topic, ADUs. So, a couple of things I took from the meeting is the size can be 900 square feet. That includes the basement. So,
It includes the basement.
First thing that they're doing is they're making them modulars and putting them on slabs so they can get 900. But my bigger concern is anybody can come to the zoning board and ask for 1,200 square feet, 1,500 square feet, 2,000 square feet. Unless we set precedents by zoning that the maximum ADU size is 900 square feet, we're going to have a list of people applying to build 1,500 square feet. Now, one thing I learned too that's kind of odd is if I have a two-car garage with a loft, detached or attached, and I want to make that an ADU, that 900 square feet includes the garage below. So that ADU is really small. Whereas I think, in my opinion, it's my opinion, if you have an existing two-car detached garage and you want to make the loft an ADU, that should be granted and not include the space below, as opposed to building a third structure on the property. So there's some zoning rules that we can put in, and a lot of towns are putting them in front of special town meeting right now, because February 2nd, this is
It's
all,
fast.
this is all in. So,
So David, is the statute, it allows 900 square feet, but if we don't restrict it to 900,
it allows 900 square feet.
As of right, by state law.
As of right, but
I
they
didn't know
can
it
go to
included the
the.
basement.
It still has to meet the setbacks of the requirement.
Yeah, it-
All
Setbacks by the height.
All setback,
By
has
the
to meet
height.
all the setbacks that
Has to
are
be-
required in the town.
setbacks are they determined by the height of the ADU? Is that what I thought?
No, they're
No.
determined by our zoning. And
Yeah, so-
and so
Oh, okay.
reaffirming, like trying to get, and I don't know that you want to stay with 900 or whatever, but I just see that people are
Yeah.
gonna, I have 15 acres. Boy, I'd like to build a 3,000 square foot ADU. And I'm gonna meet all the zoning in the world. I could build a 60,000 ADU, okay? I can come to the board and ask for
A special permit.
a special permit. So I think.
You could
we're
also
gonna
have two lodgers as of right, and then what would happen?
So,
So the way this is drafted, though, you can't come for a special permit.
It'd be variance.
you can go
Be
for
a
zoning
variance.
relief.
It'd be a
right?
variance.
Okay,
Be a variance.
variance, whatever.
When you say it can be 900 square feet, it means that that's the most it can never be.
The state,
That's the state,
the
well,
state law
right.
says that as of right, you can do an ADU up to 900 square feet, as long as you meet every other code.
But it depends on the house, though. So
Depends on
if
the
you have a
house.
smaller house,
no, it's half the size of the house, I'm sorry, Richard.
Yeah.
So if the house is 1,800 square feet, it's still 9. If the house is 1,000, it's only 500.
yeah.
All right, so 50% of the
It's
dwelling
whichever one is
unit,
smaller.
which is not heated space. The dwelling unit would include the basement for the existing house, whether it's finished or not.
Okay.
Still gotta meet all
So-
setbacks,
So the base-
Title
the
V
basement's- so
compliant,
the-
building code.
So the square footage in the basement, if it's unfinished, has to be included in the 900 square feet?
So if,
They can put
yes,
the ADU
of
in
the
the basement.
ADU. So if you want to build an in-law apartment on your house and put your mother-in-law in it and call it an ADU, if that has a basement, it can only be 450 square feet in the basement, 450 square feet in the living space. If you put it on a flat slab, which everyone's going to do, because now they get 900 square feet above grade of living space. What I think is the biggest ADU use is to take an existing two-car garage unfinished upstairs and people put it over that,
Like Mike
You know?
Seaver on Growing Pains is how I usually sell
Oh,
it.
absolutely.
you know?
Right.
So I just
Well,
think
Fonzie on Happy Days.
that we should put a little thought into creating some zoning around ADUs, because if not,
Sounds
They're all
like the
gonna
planning
count.
board did
So,
it, and they're
and
having a
then-
hearing at the end of the month.
and then two other things that I thought were important were that all permits are extended for 2 years in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, so everyone knows that. Maura Healy did that, so
Yeah.
anything, whether it's conservation building, blah, blah, blah. And then, merger of lots, so any lots that were merged now in this town are becoming unmerged, so all those
There's a
lots.
caveat to that, though, too. I forget,
There is.
there was a,
They went
Yeah.
from 5,000 to 10,000 square
Right,
feet,
right.
and from 50 feet of frontage to 75. But all lots are unmerged.
Right.
So
But there's
that
also
will
a cap
open
on
up-
how big the structure you put on it,
It
though.
has to meet zoning still, it has to meet the setback.
Right, but it's a limit to 1,850.
1,850 square feet, three
Right.
bedroom.
yeah.
Right.
Also, I have a loft above the garage, that has to be 900, like, it can't be more than 900 square feet.
900.
We can
Including the
regulate
garage.
after 900 square feet.
Well, see, the garage is
goal-
existing, so if
Right.
she built a
Existing.
new garage, it could only be 900 square feet, but yes. So those are things you need to make in
So
your
you're saying for
own
an,
zoning.
if they build above an
Existing-
existing garage, the
That's
existing
attached,
garage
yeah.
does not
It's already
count.
an existing garage.
Yeah, it's
So you go
attached,
above it,
yeah.
it doesn't count.
So to Mike's point, are we
So you could do that.
looking at our bylaws associated with this?
So we have no bylaws associated with
Right,
this,
right.
right?
We have an accessory dwelling
So
bylaw.
so they'll start off in the beginning.
It's not
But not
compliant
a-
with
The
3A.
public hearing on the 27th of January is a draft bylaw
Boom!
that's going to town meeting
Okay.
on May 14th. We're having the public hearing on the end of the month, so thereby, when the effective date of the ADUs comes, which is February 2nd, we have bylaws under consideration through a public hearing process. Those would,
Is this formal hearing at the end of the month, or just initial?
January.
no, it's a
27th.
formal
Oh,
hearing.
all right, so this baby's ready, dude.
This is,
You're late to the party here.
it's already advertised and ready to go on
What are they
January.
proposing, how many square footage?
It's 900 square feet.
It's not, it's 900.
Is the 900 feet or the less of the principal dwelling, so if it's less than,
Okay.
in this, there's not, that's subject to interpretation in terms of that two-car garage scenario. I think the way this is worded, I think you interpret it could be 900 square feet above
Above an existing two-car
Yeah,
garage.
above it.
But to build a detached two-car garage, now that's part of the accessory dwelling unit, and that includes the 900. Because it was very specific, there was 4
well, that's probably where it's gonna come down.
detached, a
That's a
detached.
That's an interpretation
What's
of
your
it.
practical concern? I'm not, that's the part that I'm not following. I understand your concern, I just don't understand why. In terms of like how this affects, like, how the rest of us live day to day.
So,
Well,
about
I have
putting
an
up-
existing, I have an existing barn.
Me too. I could
So-
put like 500 families in my barn if I,
So if
like,
you
and
have
hide
a
it.
barn that's over 900 square feet, you can't keep half of it unfinished. That exact question was asked. 1,200 square foot barn, can I put a 900 square foot ADU in it? No.
No.
Can't keep the other half
Oh, it's gonna,
unfinished.
So I'd have
it'll
to
count
do
the
the-
full thing as floor area, that's
So
ADU,
he
whether
would
it's
have to
finished or
come for a
not.
variance to get to the 1,200.
I get what you're
Even if
saying.
they-
So I'm just saying,
It goes by the
so
roof
my
line,
cons-
but they
Or
can
they
be
would-
It's gonna be
demised.
gross floor, so it'll be floor plate, I think. So even,
Have
unless
half
we
a
have.
barn, a real
I get what you're
demise it,
So could I-
you couldn't do that.
That's, that exact
You
question
can
was
do it
asked.
literally, but all of the square footage of the structure is going to count as an ADU, whether you finish it or not, is the point that he's making.
So if you have a garage bigger than 900 square feet.
You're not going to get exempted
Can't get a big-
180
you
square
can't get
feet
an
per
ADU
parking
bigger than
space because
900.
it's a parking space.
Well, unless they ask for,
Then they'll be
permits.
coming to see this board.
that's right.
Yeah.
And that's all my concern is that the line will start to
Honestly, I don't care though.
if we don't have.
Like, if somebody wants to put Mike
That's the idea of the
Seaver.
statute. They want the line. They want these to go forward.
There's a
Yeah.
big housing
That's the
crisis.
idea. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
not saying
if
it's good or bad.
people want to move in, their
Affordable
parents
housing.
are
They
like.
they
So
want
the
this
other-
room to be packed with 50 applications every night.
So the other, yeah.
Well, that's
The
what
other
they
thing
want.
is.
I mean, a lot of
is-
states do two-family
you
as of
see-
right. So, I mean,
yeah.
it's not really that wild. It's just Massachusetts is having a hard
When
time.
you have septic here in so many spots, that's a cost, and the
Title V hasn't
water and
moved.
wells and.
Does the
it started-
ADU require a new septic?
Oh, that's
Yeah,
interesting.
you have to bring,
Not a
this
new
is true.
septic.
I sit next to
No,
the
but you may already
wastewater
have
chief,
you may
like,
already have a 3 or 4 bedroom house, and that may be your septic site, so you.
you're going to
Exactly. So
still
if you
add
have-
flow, and they're very concerned about
If you
not
have a
disturbing the
four-bedroom
solids. You have to
system.
upgrade your tank, and you have to have a two-stage tank instead of an individual
Sounds like
tank
a
when you
huge
have.
It's not gonna be
It
as big
turns
of a
it
thing
into
in
a
this town as you think
two-family
because
from
of
Title
that.
V perspective.
The other
Get
thing is,
sewer.
you can have,
If you have sewer, it's
You get
not
more
that
than
big of
one.
an, you're just
so
increasing
you can ask the
flow.
board for
But I
more
mean,
than
the
one.
overall cost of much
So
more.
Yeah, but
in
for
this
the-
draft-
like from a Title V perspective,
this
there's no
draft-
ADU, it treats it like a two-family, so you have
Well,
to go
actually,
from a single
proposed
to a
bylaw, you can ask for more than one ADU through a special permit process.
Yeah, that was the other concern, is that they were putting 7 ADUs behind a cottage down the Cape, and now you got 8.
What was the original idea behind this?
So-
Is it because of the
It's to make
housing crisis?
affordable housing.
Yeah,
Yes.
population,
So-
yeah,
so-
housing
It's
crisis.
tough, yeah. I
It's
know.
been over in Nantucket
Norfolk.
and Martha's Vineyard forever.
In
right?
Norfolk.
We
That's where all
could
the people
shoehorn
live.
more on
The houses that are
with more incremental,
Off of
slower
Rockwood
change than like a
Road.
bunch of 40Bs.
over the railroad tracks. So if we leave here, we go over the railroad tracks, and on the right-hand side, that little development that's in there,
Yeah.
those are
Really
tiny
care
little
who's in there.
lots.
We don't get to control who owns a house.
Those are tiny little lots.
I know what you mean,
Yeah.
behind the school.
Yeah.
Most
the
people,
cut-
Now,
the
you-
ADU issue is very real. so
According to this, by right, they have
Flexibility and
the
diversity.
ability to put in an ADU
Moving the needle.
as long as they meet the
All
setbacks
shapes.
and half the house size, because they most likely are all,
900
Tiny
square
house to
feet.
show up in your
Up.
backyard.
So they're
Well, the
probably
lesser, so it's a
1,500
lesser-
it's most likely gonna be less than 900 because those houses are small.
Right, they're probably 1,500, but get 700.
But you're gonna have to comply with Title V, so I mean,
And
you got-
you
you got a
still
lot
have
of
to meet
costs there.
setback unless they ask for relief. And they can ask for relief.
So there's case-by-case basis,
Yeah.
there's guardrails. I know everybody's been freaking out about it, but all of these codes work
I
in
think it's a great
concert.
thing. I
Yeah.
just think that,
But once it's approved,
There'll be a
though.
lot of back and forth for the next 5
Right,
years.
but once
But
it's
we're not,
approved,
we'll be 2 years before we even see a case because of the
Right.
septic issue.
but that's what I'm saying. So once
I don't
someone,
think
And
so.
if you
I
have,
think this
well,
We have
It's
30 to
already
40
in.
kids.
well, there'll be
I
a
think
couple, there'll be a few out of the gate.
Not a, it's
Course there
a,
is.
you
Right.
change, it requires a
but
different
I have a
design.
question about, once you got one, someone's got the approval to do it now, right? I'm allowed to put an ADU in, right? Get the modular, put on the slab cement. I have to go through the whole process of getting sewage, water to it, right?
yeah.
yeah,
Right?
And
Like you say,
now
pass your
And
Title
electricity.
V.
and the permits to
Right, so
do
again,
it.
so that goes right back to all the other stuff that
It's
we
all
do in
built.
town.
And if it's detached,
So
you're
how
not
does that-
going to
how
let
does
you
that
put that
structure, though, the
detached on
ADU?
your
How's the
existing
ADU
tank.
get
That's a separate
addressed?
tank.
Right.
Let's say, does it have to be a family member, or can it be?
No, no, no,
It
no.
could be anybody.
No,
Degree
it
of
could be
kinship
anybody.
does not
Right,
matter,
I
that's a
understand,
civil rights issue.
right, because they're trying to get more housing, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But this now becomes a new address to the property? Like, does this
Oh,
become
that's a
like?
huge
Not all of the
town issue.
time.
Right.
Not all of the
Right,
time.
okay, does it become like 102A? versus 102?
Ideally, yes, but not always. How they get numbered is really kind of at the
depends on the
leisure of the
town.
postman.
Well, I will say we're gonna be,
Usually that
well,
somebody in
the
the town.
addressing will be with the public safety.
911.
And
911's
just,
gonna
right,
determine
Right.
addressing.
Right.
Point, we're
Right.
gonna have a level.
which is what we do now. So when we address a
course they do.
unit,
But now you're going to hear about,
I'm gonna be the first, I'm
They
gonna
could
ask for
have
7.
12 kids.
right, pressure,
I'll do it.
now we're going to talk about the
You
pressure on the
can't, you only
town
have
school
2
system again, right?
accessory.
You could, I'm
Under
sorry,
five.
but
Can
like,
they-
there's nothing
can
that
they
says
u-
you can't have 17
can they be
kids, have a
used
hole
as
in the toilet, and have
Airbnbs?
a big ass house. I'm go
Well-
with it. Be a Duggar. I don't care.
Wait a second.
I did not
However-
care.
However,
So, and one of the biggest things that is gonna get determined
I
after,
don't
just so
think,
you're all
yes, there's
free,
no options for
is the
people,
fire
so I'm all
department
for
hasn't
it.
really chimed in yet. And the fire department is most likely going to push for sprinklers for houses that don't have road access. That was a big thing. If you can't get the fire truck to the ADU, now they're gonna require a sprinkler, because it's an accessory dwelling unit on, without fire protection. So that was kind of the fire department was there.
There's gonna be new.
There's other fire suppression systems that could be
Yeah,
used.
like they could do a
But
tank. they could-
So we'll say
They'll
this.
just put in a.
We're gonna use
They'll
halon.
just put in our system that they hook the hose to and it automatically.
The regulations, so that's a code thing, but I will tell you the way the draft regulations are, you can't treat these any harder than you would a single-family home.
Right,
So I would think of
Under
public.
zoning,
Under zoning,
yeah.
okay.
huge caveat.
Now, devil's advocate, if fire department is requiring them to put in a sprinkler system, I'm like, well, you know,
You do-
not everybody's on public water for a single-family home, like that,
Yeah,
that's a
you
slippery
don't trigger a
slope.
sprinkler until a 3. Like,
So,
you will,
I mean,
well,
I know
you-
these are things.
You
that-
trigger a
they're
you
bringing it
trigger a
up.
water tank though
Okay.
on 10,000 square feet if you, on a single family, if you
But
don't
back
have
to the-
enough pipe diameter.
We do have a provision that prohibits the ADU from being Airbnb.
Okay, that would be great. I mean,
So that is a provision in there. I will tell you, however, though, it doesn't prohibit somebody from
Renting.
the principal dwelling unit be Airbnb. So it's just the ADU.
And the ADU, neither the homeowner has to live in the dwelling or the ADU,
Right.
okay? They don't even have to live on the property, so,
Oh my God, renters.
yeah, well, I get it. Well, that's what it's for. It's for.
That's what it's there for. That's what it's supposed to be.
I mean, in part, the idea, the idea is that, like, in a
I
land.
didn't think an unheated basement was going to be figured into it.
It's
Yeah,
so the only one that talks about heated is the 1,850 square foot is heated space. When it talks about ADUs, it's total space, total floor space, and that means
It's a
both.
floor area,
And you gotta go into the definitions and see, all
yeah. Are they measuring
three,
from interior or perimeter?
so they are measuring actual floor space, so inside the
Okay, so
drywall.
inside the wall. Interesting.
So I mean, counting the basement towards square footage, you mean?
100% on an ADU, that's
I'm
what
so
they're.
surprised.
So that's gonna make
So
it a
they're,
bigger ADU.
yeah, so they're,
so
that's not
gonna make a
uncommon though.
Smaller ADU.
That, I mean,
ADU.
You're gonna make 450.
Well, if I have a smaller house and you count the basement, I'm gonna be able to put a bigger.
No, the
ADU.
new ADU.
No, the new ADU basement is included in the 900 square feet.
Yeah, it's gonna be
The
small.
half of the square footage is considered in the existing house with the basement. So if the basement is included in the 1,800 square feet of house and 600 in the basement, then you get 50% of that,
Yeah, which would bring it up higher.
over 900.
So that brings,
But we're gonna
in your
cap
mind,
it
that
at
brings the
9.
ADU bigger, but
And-
he's saying it
and-
won't be bigger because you gotta count the basement in the
Yeah.
ADU.
You've got, the basement is 100% the ADU, that's why they're doing them on slabs.
No, but if I have
Can I put a garage on and that be counted?
If I have 1,000 square foot one story and I have 1,000 square foot basement, then the principal dwelling is now 2,000 square
1,000
feet.
square feet, and you get, yep.
So then you're getting a bigger ADU.
You get 900 feet.
Wait to get it-
You're getting
you have
the
to get a
max,
variance, though.
900.
Yeah,
You need a
no,
variance.
you're getting the
No,
max
You
then.
get 900.
well, if he gets to 900, yeah, but if you want more than 900, you'd have to get for
I
that.
understand.
But
Yeah.
most-
900 on one level.
Think about it.
Oh.
The ADU is mostly for elderly, hopefully, right?
Yes.
Nobody's gonna want a basement. They're gonna want the space on one
Exactly.
floor. They want a ranch, right?
Exactly.
So they're gonna want.
Well, 450
Yeah,
living
you
spaces
can
is
build
big.
a two-story ADU. Nothing says you can't. You can put first floor, second floor, and no basement still. But again, it's probably an elderly person, an in-law or whatever.
last one we saw
Have it
was
be
somebody's
square.
20-year-old or disabled son in their 20s. So It's
Exactly.
not just the olds.
No, it's not.
There's lots of
It's
people who
not.
need-
I'm not saying
Who need a
it is.
semi-private place to hang.
No, and I think it's a good, I think it's a good thing to make it affordable. I know my kids can't afford to.
No, I'm thinking,
rent
I'm
in a-
thinking I've got a child or two that would love to have the opportunity to build something.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest with you, why not?
Yeah, you could pull a tiny
So-
house up to
so
your backyard. It'd be sweet. Get its own little tank. It's gonna be awesome.
Does it address the existing two-family in town that now puts an ADU and that becomes a 3?
It's
And
not
that's a
illegal.
third
It's not
family.
illegal single right now though. If they've already had.
And it only applies to legal single.
Single, yeah, 1 and 2
Single house.
families.
One and two family.
Oh, 1 and 2
Sorry.
families. Okay.
1
Yeah.
and 2 families.
Yeah,
so-
1 and
I
2.
saw single.
So.
No,
So,
two.
all the houses that have existing
Yep.
are already 2 families, and then how do you determine the ADU? Are you gonna call it an ADU, or are you gonna call it a 3? Because if you call it a 3,
Fire.
now suppression comes into
That's
fact.
right.
And they're gonna all be attached.
Fire code would
most likely
probably
in this
still call
town,
it a
they're gonna be
3.
bumped off the back or, so, that's all. I just wanted to know if
it's-
we're addressing that. I didn't know you were addressing any of it, Rich. I just had that meeting and I was like,
Wow,
I
yeah.
think we're gonna
Yeah, we
have a
hadn't heard
lot of
anything.
people asking.
Right. The one thing the board is doing is, so they have the hearing on the 27th. They're gonna, more likely than not continue into February because the
A
hearing,
warrant,
well,
the zoning warrant.
some of the regulations have some, some conflicting points in it. For example,
Fun times.
one of the aspects of the proposed regulations is residential zoning district. The regulations have that broadly interpreted, so if you allow essentially.
Single family is
So
allowed in every
if you could have a single family home
In a
by
commercial
variance,
zone, if you
Right.
have an existing single family in a commercial zone, it is allowed an ADU.
right, but not only that,
Cool.
but it goes another
We allow
level.
multifamily in the
Mixed
commercial
use could have
zones
an
too.
ADU.
A mixed use could have an ADU, but the way the draft the regulations are, you can do it via variance. Now, we don't allow use variances in town, so we'll have to see how, so my point is, there's some conflicting points between the regs and the statute, so the board's gonna open the hearing and most likely continue it.
So the
Yeah,
statute,
there's
then the
state law and
statute
then
would
there's the
regulate,
local,
right?
like,
that?
permutation.
The statute would regulate.
Yeah, but some of the ways the draft regs are, they exceed
No,
the
it's definitely a better
I-
choice,
Maybe I'll do it that.
because then you're just looking at another
Yeah,
one.
that's a big concern right now about the single families that are in commercial,
yeah.
neighborhoods.
So that's coming up, the end of the month, and then in May, sorry, I shouldn't say, yeah. So, you're welcome to attend, if you like,
Okay.
Where is it?
right where you're sitting,
Oh, yeah,
on the 27th.
So you're just a little early.
it's okay.
You can
I
get a
got-
copy now,
I
though.
got time.
I can't be here, but if anybody else can, that would be good.
It's gonna be a big thing.
The working, so the other draft bylaw I've been working on with the board and also Peter is to EV charging stations, to allow EV charging stations, because really, technically, they're limited to the B1 district. And now they are allowed in the C6, because that was added into the C6 zoning that we did in November.
Yep.
But the rest of them, the districts is not allowed. So the proposed bylaw I'm working on is to allow them by right, of course, level 1, level 2, level 3, by right in non-residential districts, and then by special permit in residential districts, because there's some residential districts
yeah.
that may make sense for EV charging stations now, the level 3, so.
And some,
Oh, I mean, realistically, like a planned development,
yep,
have a charging station or two.
Well, I'm talking more of level 3, which is the fast charging ones.
yeah, we
So,
actually have a house
Oh,
with
level
one.
3?
It has a 100 amp level 3,
wow.
yeah, for a Hummer, yeah. I mean, it's so you will need a
They'll be
special
coming.
permit.
What
Yeah.
era of Hummer, like the Bush era tax credit era, or?
No, the new Hummer.
Oh,
No,
okay.
the brand.
Oh,
yeah,
my
the
nephew
new
has one of
electric.
those.
Yeah,
They
he does.
put him
It's
on the news
killer.
and shamed him when their school did something bad.
All right, so he's
So
gonna,
that's coming up for the Springtown meeting.
good.
Good time.
Floodplain's pretty straightforward.
What about the inclusion zone?
I'm skipping over and I'll come back to it. How's that? You already kind of talked about the lot size exemption, so we kind of already,
Okay,
so we tackled that.
Floodplain bylaw,
What's the lot
nice.
size exemption? I missed.
No, so not, well, I probably should have listed it that way. Well, it's actually
the merge.
the merger's gone
Oh,
away.
yeah, okay.
Yeah. So that,
I would think that would affect a few lots at the airport.
oh, definitely. Well, there's other places too around here.
Sure.
Around town. Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Definitely the airport's Mirror Lake area, right?
Right,
Some of the old
Right,
areas that were
there's
built.
some
Well,
lots
in
sitting there.
reality,
But
that one that was down on Seekonk Street and
yep.
on the
Yep, the corner there.
Hill or
Yep.
Drive or whatever it
Yep.
was, that one that was on the corner, that would have been by right. It would have gone back to.
I remember that,
unmer-
Yeah, we was
Yeah.
ahead of our time.
Yep.
Right,
Yeah.
so it's unmerged.
See
lot.
that? You did the right thing.
We
And
always
again,
do.
it's
They're following your lead.
that's to make affordable housing. That's what the whole thought is.
Exactly.
Well, that's housing production, housing
Made no sense
production.
anyway.
So we kind of want to be careful with our word choices, right? Because it's about housing production.
Housing diversity, housing choice, all good words.
Yep. But when we talk about affordable, people then think of,
Capital A, capital H, affordable housing, and then lowercase a and lowercase a.
lowercase a, right? We'll go lowercase a.
Not the defined kind, just in general
In general,
affordable kind.
right, there. In terms of the inclusionary bylaw,
Capital A, capital H.
capital A, capital H, the analysis points related to mixed use. It's not just the inclusionary bylaw, but our mixed-use bylaw in general. The inclusionary bylaw right now is a scaling up. It goes from 10 to 20%. When you add in trying to do mixed-use development, commercial, it just,
Will not pencil.
it doesn't work in terms of the economics of it. So that's the aspect of the inclusionary, to modify that, to bring it down, to make it more in line, so we can encourage mixed-use development and make it work.
Are they going to consider it?
I didn't understand that. So
So-
the inclusionary is going to make it more affordable, so they're going to be able to put more units on top?
No, if we bring down
Not
the
affordable.
requirement, the number of units they're required to keep as affordable, the project won't pencil right now at 10 to 20% affordable, so if it's like 5%, it
Then it
might,
will work.
Yeah.
yeah.
They'll still be affordable. I mean, still having the inclusionary piece, but not the percent that it is
Percentage is
today.
lower because it never works.
Rich, when do you anticipate, or do you yet, when these draft bylaws will be available for review?
The, well, floodplain is easy. That's going to be for the next meeting in February. The EV one, same.
Okay.
I'm not sure about the inclusion. I'm not sure we're ready. We'll
That
make
takes
it.
a lot of math to tinker
Yeah,
with.
so I'm just giving you a heads up. I don't know
I
if that's
appreciate
it.
it.
So that's what's on the,
A lot going on.
and actually I'm trying to, what you brought up for the non-conforming structure,
Oh, I forgot about that, our
Right.
nonconformities and how we need to tighten that one up.
to bring that back up. The other,
I completely data dumped that happened, Rich.
so that's.
Glad I already wrote it.
That's another one for the spring. And then I'd like to try to get in and change the bylaw, update the master plan, the special permit criteria, because we're still referring to a 1992 master plan. Now we have a 2024 plan. Then there's a few little tinker, but that's kind of the gist of the zoning coming up.
Filing fees. Fun.
Yeah, so we
What
got-
are our current fees?
Well, we got a budget message delivered from the finance director and town administrator, and they've asked everyone to look at filing fees to see if they're on par with neighboring communities, because it is a revenue source. So, want to take a look at those. I think your fees are probably a little bit on the lower side, comparably speaking, to
How much is it?
350.
That's low. Can we jack up like wireless cases and like the obvious ones?
We could do a tier, like kind
Yeah.
of type special permit, but I'm just giving you a heads up. We need to take a look at
Yeah,
it.
we don't want to hit the
I don't think
homeowners on the
that
balls, but like
I
there's a
don't think
few
that the
others
single
that
homeowner
I don't feel bad
with
about Verizon.
the small item should have the same as a commercial solar project filing.
No, understood.
That's why I was just like,
It's like,
tell it wireless is the obvious one because we don't care if Verizon pays more.
Maybe a residential rate lower than a non-residential.
You can't do that in rate setting, but what we could do is, like a basic standard
Permit type.
application.
Yeah, the project
Yeah,
type,
permit,
yeah.
like project type we can, but not by type of applicant. So that would be, but yeah, I mean, realistically, it's the AT&Ts of the world.
Because,
who-
yeah, for a small something, I mean,
For our neighbors, we want
that
to be
seems
fair.
like a lot already.
But there's some of the commercial projects,
Yeah, commercial projects.
beyond wireless too.
Yeah,
they
and like the
require-
stuff that actually takes
I
time
get
to
the commercial
review.
ones,
Yeah.
yeah, but as a single family in town paying taxes, I think paying $350 is enough to come in front of the board. Yeah,
I'm
There
just-
has to be nexus between the fees that we charge
Has to
and the
be.
amount of
Yeah.
service,
Yeah, I'm
like the
just
cost
saying,
of service.
they've asked us to look at it, so we're gonna be looking at it to present it to you.
I imagine I'll be
stop
seeing that
paying
on the
us.
listserv.
When they start paying us, then the fees can go.
It's not about us. Rich costs money,
Double your
Elaine
pay.
costs money,
Are they? Yeah.
Double it.
Blair
You get
costs
twice what
money.
you got last year.
Town
Double.
council was here, they cost money. Every meeting is at least $1,000.
Oh, more.
Easily.
So that's
Just in town expenses and staff.
that's it for
Okay,
my updates for this evening.
All right.
Well, that's all exciting.
great.
Exciting.
Yes.
Well, we have some
Minutes?
minutes that we should approve. Mm-hmm. Have you looked through them?
Yes, I did.
I did too.
Yep.
What'd you think?
I had already worked with Elaine to,
So do we have ones that we could approve as written?
yes,
Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
yes. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for the December 18th zoning board of appeals meeting.
And I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Let's take a roll call.
Aye, Joe Sebastiano.
Aye, David
Chris
Axel.
Metcalf, aye.
Tim Martin, aye.
Josephine Kordahay, aye.
All right, so moved.
We have to sign both that and
Yeah.
the decision tonight.
Yep.
I like
Yep.
the Calibri.
We have
Nice sans serif there.
correspondence, but no discussion.
Correct.
So I think you've all seen the correspondence, if I remember correctly, so we don't need to go through that. New old business, we have 6 Baltimore Street, that's still waiting to be heard again in March.
We already took care of the Cleveland Street
Town
Farm.
meeting, and Cleveland Street have already
Yeah,
been
we just
done.
had the discussion.
Oh, I should have read. I was about to be like, when is town
Do we
meeting
have any
scheduled?
other
May 14th.
anticipated business?
One is in the back of the paper.
Yeah, well, I mean, that is a commitment to environmentalism.
Wow, I'd like to see that with my checks.
Absolutely.
Back of the paper.
Absolutely.
That could have been an accident.
It was not an accident.
I'm sure the copy
14th,
machines
May
per
14th town
community
meeting.
compact are set to double side.
Very good,
Yeah.
This is a Wednesday night, not a Tuesday.
very good.
We done with the meeting?
Gonna be active.
Do I hear somebody make a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion, we close the meeting for January 15th, zoning board of
Second.
appeals.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Good to see you, Chris.
Chris,
Yeah,
enjoy
it was
Vermont.
fun. I loved every minute.
So Tony, if we finish up cleaning up, send the final version tomorrow,